So what's going on, guys? I'm BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be taking a look at the story or the history of T.E.D. If you are an OG on this channel, you will know that years ago I did a series called The Story Of, where we take a look at the background of all of our characters within Call of Duty Zombies. I have done T.E.D. as a part of that series, however, that video was 4 years ago, before we had the Canorium, before the Ether timeline ended, and before we knew everything that took place within the storyline revolving each and every character. Meaning a lot of information in that or other videos are either incorrect or outdated. And since you guys really enjoyed that series last time I did it, I thought, you know what, now that we have all of the information needed, why not revise it, remaster those videos, probably not for each and every character because some of them still hold up, but today we're going to be looking at one of my favourite characters in Call of Duty Zombies, and this is the storyline of T.E.D. He is the robot bus driver we first saw in Tranzit. We've also seen him in Alpha Omega and the Zombies comics. Just from his appearance, some of the things he says, he is very interesting, and so let's get straight into this. So T.E.D. is a robot that was created in the Pentagon back in 1963. His purpose was he was a bus driver whose job was to transport Broken Arrow employees around the Hanford camps. On November the 19th, 1963, the Broken Arrow program was created by the United States government with the intention of preventing another undead outbreak after the incident at the Pentagon. Upon the creation of this initiative, the Groom Lake program in Nevada was merged with Broken Arrow. Furthermore, numerous facilities were established throughout the country to combat the undead threat, which included the facility near the Hanford site, which to us is known as Tranzit or Green Run. So Broken Arrow had many facilities throughout the United States, but two of their most important ones were set up in Hanford, Washington, and Nevada. And so, near to the time the Broken Arrow program was created, the Pentagon also created T.E.D., and his job was to drive Broken Arrow employees around the campus. And while there is a blueprint we can find in the Pentagon that talks about T.E.D.'s creation, this is a prototype of T.E.D., however, this was the proposed final version, and some of the notes that have been written on here by workers say, request for skin to cover robotic exterior. Test trials of employees' recoiling and frightened appearance needs to be more approachable and friendly. And they tried to do that by giving him prosthetic skin so he didn't look as much like a robot. They also write who programmed it with emotions, and why. This needs to be removed before line operations. So someone within the Pentagon, for one reason or another, programmed T.E.D. with the ability to almost think for himself. We've seen that he gets angry, frustrated, he can shout, but then again, sometimes he's nice. However, reading on it seems like that last one may not be so true because they say early tests reveal prototype behaving inappropriately with employees. Behaviours include using explicit language with employees, terrifying employees, kicking employees off the bus, locking bus doors and refusing entry, skipping stops, and unwanted opinions and sarcasm. And then at the bottom it says the bus is to be provided by the Colorado facility. So once the bus from Colorado had arrived, T.E.D. was placed inside of it and programmed to drive around the Hanford campus. And that's exactly what he did. He would transport Broken Arrow employees around Green Run, and he more than likely did this for many years. We aren't too sure how long, but I would assume he did this job until Broken Arrow was disbanded in 2025. So he was their bus driver for over 40 years. It wasn't until the year 2025 on October the 13th where 3 missiles sent from the moon hit Earth, destroying it, leaving it fractured and broken. Earth turned into an apocalyptic wasteland. It was then about a month later when Broken Arrow was disbanded after their primary facility was lost in a fire, leaving Russman, who worked for Broken Arrow, with his mind broken after 40 years of exposure to Element 115. He began to wander the Earth aimlessly, and he survived doing this on his own for 10 years, where in 2035, this was when Stuhlinger bumped into Russman, who had stolen the transit bus from the abandoned Broken Arrow facility. This part of the storyline, in my opinion, wasn't made 100% clear, so what I believe happened is when Russman left Broken Arrow in 2025, after all of their facilities were abandoned, Russman wandered the Earth where 10 years later, he arrived in Hanford and he stole the transit bus with T.E.D. on it from the Broken Arrow facility there. It was also there when he met Stuhlinger, so they took the bus, just the both of them, and it was then a week later where they run into Martin and Misty at the diner. With all 4 of the Victor's characters now in Hanford, we know Max has made contact with them and asked them to complete a polarization device in his favour. At the same time, Richtofen also contacted Stuhlinger, talking to him in his head. He could hear him talking to him from within inside the Ether Pyramid because Stuhlinger had consumed the undead meat of zombies, giving him a link to the Ether. And we know eventually what's canon as a part of the Transit Easter egg is the Victor's crew complete the polarization device for Maxis. They take the bus with T.E.D. on it, using it to get around the Hanford site, completing Dr. Maxis's objectives. When the Victor's crew all meet Ted, you will notice his appearance is quite different to what we saw in the blueprints. He's missing half of his prosthetic skin, showing a lot of his robotic skeleton. I would think this is mainly down to wear and tear after being a bus driver for 40 years, but also when the rockets hit Earth, this could have burnt away his skin and clothes as well. And when he's driving us around Tranzit, a lot of the things he says don't make sense. We already know he wasn't programmed correctly, he was given emotions, and we can tell this by some of the things he says, but he also seems to get confused and he will say he is in locations where he isn't. And I think this could be down to, once again, when the rockets hit Earth, perhaps it messed up his programming.
Welcome aboard Speedway Bus Lines. Error. Global positioning system navigation error. Maintain current course. Implement automatic course upgrade protocols. Consolidated Coach Corporation Bus Lines invites you to upgrade to first class. Attention passengers, please activate clean suits and disembark for Mount Weather. Everyone up for the majestic Mount Rushmore. Mysterious and dangerous forest just ahead. Go ahead, get off here. See how long you last. Please gather all top secret files and disembark for Deep Springs Gravitational Anomaly. Attention passengers, next bus stop is the island of Hawaii. We're all going to drown. Oh fuck, we are all going to die! Goodbye, cruel world, goodbye! Oh, we made it. Consolidated Coach Corp would like to remind you to stay calm in any emergency situations.
As for what Ted's fate was then, well, we know after Transit, the crew then went to Rise, leaving Ted behind in Hanford, and then finally they went to Buried, where in that Easter egg, Maxis ended up destroying this dimension, meaning in the end, Ted was destroyed. That was his fate. We have also seen other iterations of Ted, this time in Alpha Omega. In this map though, he wasn't a bus driver, he was actually a lounge attendant. Now because Alpha Omega is a part of the Broken Cycle, we haven't had an updated version of the Cororium for this part of the story, so we don't know 100% why Ted is a lounge attendant in Alpha Omega, but the map takes place 10 years before Transit, and it is also just before the destruction of Earth. But why Ted ended up being a lounge attendant instead of a bus driver, we don't really know. There could be many reasons. He does say this.
Thank you for choosing Consolidated Coach Corporation, Entertainment Division. We know it's a big decision who entertains your party guests, and we are privileged to have been chosen. The lounge attendant does not monitor alcohol consumption. Please drink responsibly, or we'll mock you relentlessly. If you wish to exchange your lounge attendant for one with legs, the current wait time is 123 years. Reminder, Groom Lake employees are no longer permitted to use the billiards tables. If you're looking for someone to blame, blame Jerry. As always, please ignore the giant fucking nuke dangling above us that I'm sure won't kill us all. Oh sure, let's put a government facility in the middle of the desert, hundreds of miles from civilization. What could possibly go wrong? Consolidated Coach Corporation is not responsible for those offended by lounge attendant. So fuck you! I've been programmed to inform you this facility is totally safe. But if you couldn't tell, that's a fucking lie!
So he is now a part of the entertainment division. Maybe Broken Arrow thought he wasn't good enough to be a driver, so moved him into the facility itself to entertain the employees because that's what he's good at. And then we've also seen Ted in one other circumstance, and that was in Zero Base. This was a facility that was constructed by Dr. Maxis within the empty Earth, and its purpose was to house artifacts and replicas that were collected from multiple different timelines. Within inside of Zero Base you can see we have Ted, but not only him, there is the Origin Staff, the Vril Sophia, and much more. Since everything in here is either a replica or an artifact collected by Maxis, that means Ted could also be a replica, or this is actually him. Although I don't see why Maxis would want to collect the actual version of Ted, then again, why would he want a replica either? But he is there. That was something that happened in an alternate timeline. So there we go, that is the storyline of Ted. We still don't know what Ted means, that we haven't been told by Triarch, but hopefully you've enjoyed the video and hopefully you found out something new. If you have, if you'd like me to do more characters on these, then you can let me know by leaving a like rating, and also what characters in the comment section below. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.